So we're delighted to be joined by Sebastian Zechel from Xsolla, the business dev manager over there. How are you doing today, sir?
Thank you, I'm doing really well. Just came in last night, getting started this morning. Show is looking great, so looking forward to the week.
It's nice to be in a physical place once again.
Absolutely, you know, something that we've looked forward to for, I would say, well, I had the chance to go out at the end of last year already to 2 physical events, but really like 1.5 years we have been waiting for this, so I'm happy.
Us too, believe us. Well, in that case, let's get stuck in. So what has the last 2 years looked like for you at Xsolla? I understand you joined the company like within the pandemic period. How was that?
Yeah, so I joined Xsolla in November 2020. So really, you know, in the midst of the pandemic, really. For us, you know, the company is always very active, working with conferences. And also, I believe, has been before I joined for physical events. So for us, it was important to keep that going for the digital events as well. So we were really sponsoring and you know, working with pretty much all the conferences that we could get our hands on and work with. That was really one thing, you know, that we did. Try to take as many virtual meetings as possible. But I also have to say that probably starting in the second half of last year, we realized that there's a fatigue kind of setting in, and people were just getting tired of these virtual events. It was really getting hard to, you know, I mean, and also everybody did the same thing. You were running into the same people at every conference. It's like, okay, so I only met those people like 2 or 3 weeks ago. It doesn't make sense to have another meeting right now. So yeah, that's how we went about it. But I think it's time to get back to in-person events now.
Absolutely, we are glad to be here for sure. Well, speaking about that, plans for 2022. You guys have worked traditionally with a lot of PC and cross-platform stuff. The way that Fortnite lawsuit played out and the legislation, it's a little bit up in the air still, but there is potential possibly for marketplaces within marketplaces on things like the mobile stores, specifically for Apple. What are your plans for the new year? And is there any leeway to moving into mobile a little bit more than previously?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in the past, you know, the company was very focused on PC and cross-platform games, and therefore developers and publishers in that field. But with exactly what you just said, we're monitoring it very closely, and especially since beginning of last year, we started, you know, pushing into that field with our mobile commerce solution. And now we're also working already with quite a few big mobile game developers and are helping them to monetize their games outside of the app stores. In the form of the way we're doing it right now is helping these companies to set up a web shop for their mobile games, where they can let their players you know, pay for in-app items and use them also either on the web. If they also want to go with the web version, they can also use those in-app purchases in their mobile versions, which kind of helps them to circumvent the platform fees, because in the web shop they can monetize through us at much lower fees for them.
What's the biggest challenge in monetization at the moment? With all the different potential avenues, like whether it's premium, which is kind of, certainly in mobile, died a bit of a death, whether it's free to play, people are now talking about pay to earn games, people are talking about, you know, micro transactions so small that, you know, we're talking pennies. Like, when it comes to trying to get new folks in and spending money, what is the challenge at the moment?
I think, you know, especially for the mobile companies, one of the big changes that comes with this is you know, the possibilities to open up to new markets and reaching new players, because there are certain territories on this planet, you know, where people don't have access to bank accounts, they don't have credit cards, and within the app stores, you know, you're very limited in terms of payment options that you can offer your players. And therefore you can't simply reach those people in these territories. And that is something we can certainly help with, because we are working with a lot of local payment methods. Overall on our platform we have more than 700 payment methods, which is much more I would say in certain territories we can increase payment coverage in comparison to the App Store, for example, of up to 60%. And that in itself opens up to, you know, potential additional revenue for our customers.
So if someone's watching this and they hear you say like 700 payment methods, immediately like the layman might go, what, like a credit card and cash? What do you mean when you say like types of payment methods in a digital economy?
Well, you know, you have, for example, in China, you have these super apps where people basically use WeChat to take out credits and they pay with that. And there are also all sorts of digital payment options. And there are tons of them in local markets, that are just focused on certain countries. And so we are trying to work with all of them. And we actually also have a payment team in our company that has their own business development team as well, that constantly tries to work with more payment options to make our payment network even more valuable to our clients.
When clients come to you and they're looking for your assistance, what's the most common request that you get? Why do people come to you? What's the expertise that they lack that they feel that you have?
There are many different reasons, I would say, simply because we do so many things, or the portfolio of services that we can offer and tools is so wide. So it really comes down to the specific project the developer is working on. For mobile game developers, like we just said, it's typically the case that they are interested in finding out what they can do outside of the app stores. I mean, at the moment, because of the restrictions, it's still not possible to offer in-app purchases within the app in the app stores. Technically, it's possible. We would be able to do it, but that would get our clients in trouble. But who knows how this whole thing evolves. And then for PC developers, it really comes down to maybe just wanting to build out their own sales channels, selling directly to clients, or maybe they have a multiplayer game and they want to utilize cross-platform functionalities for their in-game items, so people could continue to play between PC and console, for example, with the same items they already bought. Those are all things that we can help with. So it really comes down to the specific project, and that's also how we approach it. So whenever a company comes to us, we always listen to what they're trying to do, and then we basically consult, what we based on our experience, what we see works for these kind of projects, and then we can advise them as to what kind of tools in our tool stack they could use for that. And then, of course, all of that usually ties into our payment platform, so they can utilize that vast payment coverage that we just talked about.
When they do come to you and they're saying, look, we've launched this game, we've set prices at this point, we're not really connecting them to global trends or anything, we're not raising them or lowering them, we've locked them at a fixed point, and nothing's selling, no one's buying anything from our app stores, no one's buying our hats, or whatever it might be. Like, what's the biggest kind of mistake that you see developers making when it comes to monetization? When they come to you and ask questions like, what's the thing that they're generally doing wrong?
I don't know if it's, I wouldn't say it's too much about what they're doing wrong. It's more about, what else they can do. Because for a PC developer, let's say, they are going to put their game on Steam, which is a good thing to start with. Steam is still the largest platform for PC games, with hundreds of millions of players on the platform. So I would always advise a PC developer to have their game on Steam simply for the visibility. Although they are in some way a competitor to us, right? But it doesn't mean that you have to rely on that 100%. So the idea kind of is, telling people what they can do on top of that. Kind of build out these sales channels, go directly to your players and build a connection with them, and own the player relationship. Because let's be honest, if you have your game on Steam, you don't own the player relationship. The player relationship is happening between Steam and the player, and you're just pushing content in there. So the forums are in there. You only see a certain amount of details on the players and where they're from and what they bought, but you don't have access to data down to transaction level. That's something that we do completely different. So whenever somebody is sold on our platform, our clients see everything down to transaction level: where a player was from, what kind of payment option they used, how much taxes were collected and paid forward, and that data points that they can acquire through using our tools will also help them to create more effective marketing campaigns for performance marketing campaigns, for example. So it's not necessarily about what they do wrong. It's more about what can we help them do better, really.